Good day and welcome back to Temple Solution News. Today's topic is Daniel's Last 10 Kingdoms by Bert Lorenz. This topic comes from a previously written article and provides new and innovative ideas that can change the world today. As we approach the end times, many people are engaged with discerning the signs and fulfillment of prophecies from the ancient past. And this is also true with regard to the great image presented in chapter 2 from the book of Daniel. There are several theories that try to interpret the kingdoms associated with the different metals of gold, silver, bronze, and iron from Nebuchadnezzar's great image. But for this presentation, the most traditional view that describes the ongoing empires oppressing Israel, represented by Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome, is recognized as being most accurate. By the way, the internet is also overwhelmed with numerous theories where people speculate about the 10 toes, or kingdoms from the great image, and how they will possibly emerge from the European Union, or from the BRICS nations, from 10 UN-created regional groupings around the world, or even the richest oligarchs, as well as other outlandish ideas. Even though there may be elements of fulfillment in some of these speculations, they do not meet all the prophetic requirements provided by Daniel. In fact, the best interpretation can be found by looking precisely at the prophecy and interpretation given by Daniel. At this point, there are a few preliminary remarks that should be taken into consideration when contemplating the prophecy from Daniel 2. The first observation is that the eastern leg of the Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, outlasted the western leg by about 1,000 years, until of course in 1453 when Constantinople fell to the Islamic Ottoman Empire. In addition, and most important, all of the 10 toes or kingdoms come into existence at the same time. Just as a baby is normally born with 10 toes, that means the theories which suggest 10 consecutive Caesars or caliphs, or any other theory where the number of toes or kingdoms rises or falls to somehow become 10, is misguided. The prophecy says there are 10 toes at the inception of the kingdom, and the number does not change until it is eventually reduced to 7, and then 8 by the Antichrist. Last of all, toes are not a symbol of strength, but instead they are weak and provide traction, stability, and allow for balance. Thereby, it appears the 10 toes from the prophecy provide a model for the world and a plausible approach for living together in peace. That said, the essential requirements for understanding the last 10 kingdoms are found in the ancient book of Daniel, and it will be shown how these kingdoms finally also exist today. Next, the relevant portions of the prophetic dream and a unique interpretation will be presented. Daniel 2:40. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. Forasmuch as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. Verse 40 describes the total existence of the Roman and Byzantine empires until the latter one fell to the Ottoman Empire in 1453 AD. Daniel 2:41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, forasmuch as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. From verse 41, it is evident there is only one kingdom represented by the iron and the clay, and it appears these materials depict people of ethnic diversity. It's also interesting that Daniel specially used the Strong's Dictionary word Arab H6151 4 times in Daniel 2:41 and 43. Daniel intentionally used Arab to describe the mixed ethnicity of the people because it also represents the people who conquered the Eastern Byzantine Empire. People looking for the prophecy of Daniel 2 to be fulfilled by the EU countries often neglect the impact of the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire, and then present how 10 countries from Europe will somehow become united. In fact, the opposite is true, and the prophecy actually presents how there is only one kingdom to begin with, divided by ethnic diversity, and it eventually becomes further divided into the 10 territories that constitute the original kingdom. Let's continue in Daniel. Verse 42. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron, and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong, and partly broken. 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. These verses describe the way people can be divided by ethnicity, religion, or any other difference, and unfortunately this has allowed for the atrocities of war and ethnic cleansing. That said, in the Central Balkan region, there were a series of wars starting in 1991, and 10 provinces emerged from the consequences that encompassed the former Yugoslavia. Therefore, the 10 territories that presently fulfill the prophecy from Daniel are Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Srpska, Vojvodina, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, and Macedonia. Don't forget, all of these provinces essentially came into existence at the same time, and that is a main point that people neglect. Only these provinces have fulfilled the mixing of the seed of men as presented in verse 43, and also the division that is described by not cleaving to one another. Let's continue. Daniel 2:44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Daniel 2:45. Forasmuch as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. It has been over 2,500 years since King Nebuchadnezzar had his dream of the great image interpreted by Daniel, and history has proven the truth of the interpretation, as most of the progression has been fulfilled. All the great kingdoms from King's dream have come and gone, and now we are left with the last 10 toes and the conclusion of the prophecy. The 10 kings or rulers of the provinces have come to power, and now we anxiously await for God to set up his kingdom that will never be destroyed. By the way, it's also interesting that a close look of the map from former Yugoslavia reveals there are republic and provincial boundaries. It is also remarkable that the 3 autonomous provinces, Vojvodina, Serbia, and Kosovo, are still connected. In addition, it's interesting that another prophecy from Daniel 7:7-8 could be fulfilled from this region if the 3 provinces yield their power to a ruler who can solve their problems and address their differences. Many people are witnesses to the unfolding of the events presented in this message, and Bert hopes all people may understand the magnitude of this prophetic fulfillment. As time marches on, don't forget the next major event on the prophetic calendar will occur as God enters into a covenant with his people and sets up his kingdom that will last forever. May this happen very soon. Thanks for watching, and be sure and grab a copy of the Temple Solution on Amazon.